You spend 30 years waking up early, working hard, and disciplinedly putting money into your RRSP. You do this to protect your family. You assume that when you pass away, that nest egg will go directly to your children to help them buy a home or secure their future. You are wrong. In Canada, the CRA has a hidden mechanism that triggers the exact moment you die. It is not an inheritance tax. Technically, Canada doesn't have one, but what we do have is something much worse for your retirement savings. It is a rule that allows the government to legally seize up to 54% of your life's work before your heirs see a single penny. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how the deemed disposition rule destroys estates, the brutal math behind the final tax return, and the only legal ways to stop the CRA from becoming your biggest beneficiary. Here is the rule that most financial advisors gloss over until it is too late. It is called deemed disposition upon death. Under Canadian tax law, when you die, the CRA treats your RRSP or RIF as if you cashed out the entire balance 1 minute before your death. Think about that. The entire amount. It doesn't matter if your will says the money goes to your son or daughter. The Tax Act overrides your will. Let us do the math on a typical Canadian tragedy to see how this plays out in the real world. Imagine you have built a portfolio of $500,000 in your RRSP. If you are retired and you withdraw that money slowly, let's say $25,000 a year, you pay a very low tax rate. You might only pay 20% tax on those small withdrawals. But if you die with that $500,000 still in the account, the CRA adds that full $500,000 to your income for that single year on your final return. This creates a massive artificial spike in your income. It instantly pushes your estate into the highest marginal tax bracket possible. In provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, or Nova Scotia, once your income crosses roughly $240,000, every additional dollar is taxed at over 53%. So, on a $500,000 portfolio, the tax bill isn't 20%. It is over 50%. That means the government writes itself a check for roughly $265,000 from your savings. Your children don't get the nest egg, they get the leftovers. And the worst part, the estate must pay this tax bill before the inheritance can be distributed. I have seen families forced to sell the family cottage, or even the parents' primary residence just to generate the cash needed to pay the tax bill on the RRSP. It is a liquidity crisis that happens while the family is still grieving. Now, there is one major exception to this rule, and you need to get this absolutely right in your will. If your beneficiary is a qualified beneficiary, specifically a spouse or common law partner, you can use the spousal rollover. In this case, the money transfers to their RRSP completely tax-free. The tax is deferred until they die. This is the safety net. But here is the trap that catches thousands of Canadians every year: the second death. If you are a widow, widower, or single, or if you and your spouse pass away around the same time, the rollover does not exist. If you leave your RRSP to your adult children who are financially independent and not disabled, there is no tax deferral. The full tax bill hits immediately. The CRA does not care that you wanted the money to go to your kids. They treat it as income and they take their cut off the top. So, how do you protect your legacy? You cannot just ignore this. You need a strategy. Strategy number 1 is the RRSP meltdown. This involves intentionally withdrawing more money from your RRSP while you are still alive, even if you don't need the cash for daily expenses. The logic is simple. It is cheaper to pay 30% tax now on smaller withdrawals than to let the pile grow and pay 54% tax at death. You take the money out, pay the lower tax, and invest the rest in a TFCA or a non-registered account where the capital gains tax at death will be much lower. Strategy number 2 is using permanent life insurance to cover the liability. If you know your estate is going to owe $200,000 in taxes, you buy a tax-free insurance policy for that amount. When you pass away, the insurance payout covers the CRA bill, leaving your actual savings intact for your family. And finally, double-check your beneficiary designations today. If your spouse is not listed correctly on the account itself, the rollover can fail, leading to probate fees on top of the taxes. Do not let the CRA become your biggest heir by accident. 54% is too high a price to pay for procrastination. I have compiled a checklist on estate planning for RRSP to help you avoid this trap. Comment the word estate below, and I will send you the guide instantly. Subscribe to Maple Money Data to keep your money in your family, where it belongs.